Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors need to break their slump and make a dramatic move to upgrade their roster with a top player. Anfernee Simons is the player who would bring significant benefits to the Warriors and pose a threat to their rivals. Anfernee Simons has athleticism, speed, shooting ability, and excellent scoring, and alongside Stephen Curry, he could further improve. Landing a reliable on-ball scoring threat to take pressure off of Stephen Curry will be one of the Golden State Warriors' main priorities throughout the 2025 NBA offseason. Golden State's offensive attack became painfully predictable after the four-time NBA champion and 2022 NBA Finals MVP went down with a hamstring injury that relegated him to the bench for 4 out of the team's 5 games during the Western Conference semifinals against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Even in the midst of his 16th NBA campaign in 2024-25, the Warriors depended on Curry's health and continued production more than ever. As Curry prepares for season number 17, Golden State's general manager Mike Dunleavy and the rest of the franchise's front office could plausibly take a gamble to support their future Hall of Fame inductee. In fact, the team could do so by contacting the Boston Celtics to begin trade negotiations centered around their newly acquired scoring talent Anfernee Simons, as Boston has reportedly attempted to shop the versatile guard. I have talked to other teams who have said they are actively trying to trade Anfernee Simons, ESPN's Brian Windhorst claimed during an episode of his podcast, Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective. Whether they can or not is another thing. After acquiring the 26-year-old guard from the Portland Trail Blazers by trading away two-time NBA champion Jrue Holiday, the Celtics are remaining active on the trade market. If Simons is to be dealt once again, Golden State could offer an enticing package consisting of their rising 3-and-D wing Moses Moody along with Buddy Hield, one of the NBA's all-time great three-point sharpshooters. By prospectively acquiring the savvy scoring threat, the Warriors would bring in their first young, dynamic scoring presence at the shooting guard position since the departure of 2022 NBA champion Jordan Poole. Boston might also be inclined to pull the trigger on a deal of this nature, as their hypothetical return of Moody and Hield represents their core tenets of stifling perimeter defense and consistent distance shooting to a tee. In 70 appearances with the Trail Blazers this past season, Simons contributed 19.2 points and 4.8 assists while knocking down 36.3% of his 8.5 attempts from long range. His sweet handle and underrated athleticism could make the 6'3" guard a perfect backcourt partner for Curry, but his defensive deficiencies might tell a different story. While he's improved marginally on that end in recent years, Simons has compiled a career -2.1 defensive box plus-minus and horrid 120 defensive rating per 100 possessions prior to the beginning of his 8th season in 2025-26. Even still, his natural ability to put the ball in the basket and unlimited shooting range could warrant his arrival in Golden State and his insertion into head coach Steve Kerr's vaunted offensive system alongside Curry, Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler. Warriors fans can start celebrating as Al Horford's plan is all but confirmed. This is the sign they needed. 2025. As the Golden State Warriors remain stagnant this offseason, it has been largely rumored that their major signing, the sniping of veteran center Al Horford from the Boston Celtics, is imminent. While, largely due to the looming Jonathan Kuminga situation, any Warriors acquisitions currently remain in limbo. Celtics president Brad Stevens has all but confirmed Horford's availability, saying that the prospect of him resigning is unlikely. Brad Stevens said returning Al Horford is unlikely. Although this news certainly does not guarantee his signing with Golden State, it should provide fans an extra bit of hope as one of their sole options this offseason remains available. Warriors' chances to sign Al Horford grow by the day. Horford, who averaged 9 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists last season on 27.7 minutes per game, could provide the veteran presence the Warriors need around the rim to stabilize their defense. Therefore, Golden State could benefit heavily from the Celtics' decision to tear away from their massive spending and take next season as a retooling year. Having already traded away veterans Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis to offload salary, The franchise is now letting some of its less costly free agents walk in an effort to reshape their roster around certain young talents. While Horford, who has played 7 seasons in Boston across 2 different stints with the organization, was not widely expected to resign given his diminished role over the past 2 seasons, Stevens' announcement essentially cements Horford's availability. While there have been numerous reported suitors for Horford, including the Celtics, New York Knicks, Denver Nuggets, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Los Angeles Lakers, many of these teams have already found their solutions through the trade market or free agency, and Golden State remains the most likely landing spot for the veteran's services. With the Warriors, Horford would receive a large chunk of minutes due to the dire positional need the team has at center. With the departure of Kevin Looney in free agency, the organization knows it cannot rely fully on the undersized Draymond Green or the defensively developing Quinton Post to take on the full breadth of the minutes at center. This left Horford with essentially 3 options that would suit his desires: returning to the Celtics, signing with Golden State, or retirement. Now, the Warriors must wait for the conclusion of the Kuminga saga, which grows more complicated as the market for restricted free agents remains uncertain under the new CBA, in order to complete the deal. However, it seems as though Horford will be willing to wait for the team to have its ducks in a row before signing. 2025 NBA Summer League, 1 question for each Warriors rookie. Unlike the Philadelphia 76ers or the San Antonio Spurs, the Golden State Warriors got their rookies toward the end of the 2025 NBA draft. Regardless, the Warriors received 2 excellent players in Australian wing Alex Tui and Florida guard Will Richard. As they finish with the California Classic, both players have questions surrounding them as they head to Las Vegas. Let's dive into 1 question for each Warriors rookie as they participate in Summer League. For a team that lacks size on the wings, Tui can unquestionably provide that. The 6'8" wing has the potential to be a solid floor spacer who perfectly fits into Golden State's system. Tui possesses a solid shooting form and has improved as a shooter this past season. Additionally, he has the feel and basketball IQ to be a smart defender who knows where he needs to be. His size, shooting potential, and overall feel for the game can be valuable for the Warriors going forward. Despite the positives he brings to the table, Tui has a significant question mark in his game. Specifically, the question is whether or not Tui can keep up with NBA-level speed and athleticism. Even at Summer League, Tui will typically be at an athletic disadvantage against other players. While he does have high basketball IQ and feel, he will have difficulties defending on the ball. Tui's limited speed and athleticism will also translate negatively on offense as it will be harder for him to finish at the rim. Tui didn't have the best debut performance during the California Classic, with his lack of athleticism being noticeable. It will be interesting to see how Tui responds in Las Vegas. Will Richard? Question: can Richard handle defending NBA-level players given his shorter height for a 3-and-D guard? With Richard, Golden State takes another rookie who can play in a 3-and-D role. Despite his size at 6'3" barefoot, Richard has shown himself to be a solid defender and shooter. Not only that, but Richard has the off-ball and connective instincts to be an instant fit into Golden State's playstyle. Those qualities have already been made apparent in Richard's first 2 games in the California Classic. In those 2 games, Richard played engaged defense and showed his off-ball movement on offense. Furthermore, Richard demonstrated excellent energy and motor on both ends of the floor. Like Tui, Richard has the capability of being a rotational player for the Warriors. However, the major question for Richard is whether or not he can handle defending taller NBA players at his size. While he does play smart and energized defense, Richard is simply undersized for the role he plays. In particular, Richard will have issues guarding taller and stronger players due to his lack of height and strength. Due to those issues, Richard could have difficulties defending even some shooting guards and taller wings in the NBA. His positives on defense have flashed in the 2 California Classic games. Hopefully, they continue to pop in Las Vegas and his height deficiency isn't as prevalent. Hate the fit. Superstar told not to sign with the Golden State Warriors in free agency. The Golden State Warriors are not the ideal landing spot for one coveted free agent, says Kevin O'Connor. For whatever reason, the Golden State Warriors have made no moves during this offseason. In fact, as things stand, they are the only team not to make any trade or free agent signing. Despite Draymond Green providing the blueprint to build around Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler, the Warriors have been inactive. And the longer they wait, the more they have to address with this roster. After losing Kevin Looney in free agency to the Pelicans, the Warriors now have an even bigger gap at the center position. What makes matters worse is that they won't play ball with other teams. The Warriors refused to sign and trade Jonathan Kuminga to the Sacramento Kings. But now, things have gotten so bad that even actively available free agents are being discouraged from signing with them. Kevin O'Connor says Damian Lillard won't fit with Golden State Warriors. Kevin O'Connor discussed on his show for Yahoo about where Damian Lillard will sign now that he is a free agent. When discussing the rumors linking him to the Golden State Warriors, O'Connor immediately explained why that was a bad idea. He reminded fans that Steve Kerr's style of play is very much centered around Stephen Curry, and other players are required to do a lot. That load would be too much for Lillard, who will be coming off an Achilles injury next season. He's been connected to the Warriors. I'd hate the fit. Playing behind Stephen Curry. The way Steve Kerr uses Steph in actions, after you've suffered such a catastrophic injury, let's get that load off of you. Let's relax a little bit more after that. Damian Lillard urged to join Miami Heat or LA Lakers instead. O'Connor spoke further on his show about Damian Lillard's future. He believes the Miami Heat or LA Lakers are far better suited for him. Specifically on the Lakers, O'Connor mentioned how much work Luka Doncic will do to set Lillard and other teammates up. I'd lean towards Miami or the Lakers. Luka can carry everything there. He can be the secondary guy behind him, potentially could compete for championships depending on what else they do. Lillard promised teams he'd bounce back to the same level once he recovers from his injuries. And on the Lakers, he could be an excellent guard alongside Luka Doncic. However, given the Lakers' salary cap restraints, it might be difficult to sign Lillard. However, Lillard could go to the Miami Heat, which was a destination he wanted to go to when he first demanded a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers. Wherever Lillard goes, he is going to have to wait to take the court, as he recovers from his serious Achilles injury. Warriors predicted to sign 2 NBA champion centers to solve interior issues. The Golden State Warriors could still be looking to fill minutes at the center spot. They could even opt to go after 2 still available free agents to pair in the middle. That's what SB Nation's Ricky O'Donnell thinks. He has the Warriors signing Al Horford from the Celtics and Chris Boucher from the Raptors. He thinks Horford will sign for a single year and $5.1 million. The Warriors are the only team to do nothing so far in free agency as they wait on Kuminga's RFA status to play out, O'Donnell writes. Golden State desperately needs another big after losing Kevin Looney in free agency, and Horford is the ideal target. Horford is a quick decision-maker who has turned into a high-volume three-point shooter in his golden years while still being mobile enough to compete defensively. That sounds like a perfect match for Steve Kerr's system. The Warriors already have 3 veteran stars in Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler, and Horford is an ideal complement to that trio if Golden State can convince him to play 1 more year before retirement. Then, O'Donnell thinks Golden State will add Boucher for a year and $3 million. Boucher is still a solid bench big at 32 years old, and he could finally leave the only team he's ever known in the NBA in the Raptors after hitting unrestricted free agency, O'Donnell writes. Boucher hit 36.3% of his threes last year, and while his rim protection has diminished some with age, he can still provide some shot blocking. The Warriors need more stretch bigs, and Boucher would fit well there. Adding one of these guys almost feels like a must for Golden State. If they add both, the Warriors will have to feel a lot better about their offseason.